Hi, this is Betty with Betty So Fun, and my friend Susan from Stitch by Susan asked me how to edit a design she had purchased to be able to use in our Q-matic. And we kind of agreed that it would be a great idea to record that session so that you can see how it's done and she can go through the process at once. So I hope you enjoy this video.
Hello friends and welcome! I am Susan Smith. You are in my studio, Stitched by Susan. I have an unusual project for you, at least a little unusual from what I typically do, and that is a digitized design. So many of you know that I quote these days at a BERNINA Q24. Her name is Stella. And I also have the Q-matic program, which is their digitized, computerized software. And this is kind of a new skill for me. So over the time that I've had my BERNINA, which is about a year and a half now, I've been gradually learning how to use it, but particularly doing a lot of edge-to-edge quilting. But there are designs that I want to use even for edge-to-edge that need a little bit of tweaking or editing for one reason or another, and we'll talk about what some of those are, and I don't know how to do that. So I'm bringing on my friend Betty Stoltenberg, who's a BERNINA teacher and generally expert in this digital software, and she's going to walk us through the process of editing one of these designs for edge-to-edge use in the Q-matic software. So without further ado, we're going to bring Betty on and we're going to talk a little bit about what this is going to look like today.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, Betty, and welcome. I am so excited to have an opportunity to learn this from the best because it's just a skill that I don't have, and the whole, graphics, art for one thing, but computer and digitizing things for another are just so unfamiliar to me. It's an entirely different skill set from quilting. So the way this happened, folks that are watching, is I asked Betty if she would give me a private lesson on this, and Betty said, hey, why don't we just record this, because there are other people who are wanting to know the same thing. So you guys get to listen in on our little lesson and get a close-up look at how to do this. So maybe you want to give us a little rundown on what the steps are that we're going to do and kind of why one would want to do this.
Okay, so what we're going to do today is the design you had selected had some tie-in and tie-off stitches because it was actually a computerized design from OESD for embroidery, and all embroidery designs has a tie-in and tie-off. So in order to be able to use it on a long arm when we don't want that, we need to remove those tie-in and tie-offs. So I'm basically going to show you how to open the design, remove the stitches that you don't want, and then send it to the Q-matic.
And hopefully the idea then is that we'll be able to do this once, and then I'll have this design saved in my new and improved format that I can use over and over again. Is that right?
Correct. I can show that component too, because the way I do this, and I do a lot of computerized quilting, so when you say this isn't quilting, computerized quilting is all I do. So like free motion would be foreign to me. I do some, I don't do any, but my preferred method is computerized, and that's just because my background's in computers. I worked at Intel for 25 years, and so it's what I know.
Isn't it lovely that there is quilting for all of us in whatever our preferred genre is?
That's good.
Okay.
And the nice thing is you can mix and match. But what I was going to say is when you edit the design art and stitch and send it to the Q-matic, it's saved on your computer, not in the Q-matic. So you would have to import the design into your Q-matic software if you wanted it at a single touch, or you could just open art and stitch and send it to the Q-matic. So we can go over both.
We'll see how long we go today in terms of just editing the design and how much we get an opportunity to include at the end, because as we say, that is kind of a separate process. So let's begin with this. What we're going to do kind of format-wise is we're going to work on the same design, but initially Betty's going to load it up and share her screen with us and walk us through the process step by step. Then we're going to show my screen and Betty's going to walk me through the process. So you'll get to look at the whole design being done then twice. And I guarantee you mine will be slower. So you'll get to follow it bit by bit. And you get to see our mouse when it's flicking, and hopefully that will all come clear through the screen.
So with the Q-matic you get art and stitch, which is a digitizing software that you can edit or create whatever you want. But we're just going to edit a design. So I'm going to do File, Open, which is in the upper left corner, I downloaded this design from OESD, so I'm just going to click on the zip file, click on open. You'll see there's many different design types. It doesn't matter which one you open. I like doing the one with XXX just because there's less editing that I have to do. Otherwise, the designs are all exactly the same. So you'll click on the design, you'll see it in the preview window, and then click on OK. And now you can see the design, and I think, Susan, one thing you wanted yours to do is, one, be horizontal, because it's an edge-to-edge design. But first what we're going to do is, see these little dotted lines on the screen? Okay, so these dotted lines here are jump stitches, and we don't need them, and when you're in Art and Stitch, they don't do anything. So we're just going to go into our sequence view, which is on the right-hand side of the screen, and yours may have a different color thread here. It's all what's in your prefaces, but you can see this little plus. If you click on that, you're going to see run, which is your stitches that actually stitch, and these other ones that are called stitches. Those are just your jump stitches, so you're going to delete them. There's several ways you can do them. If you right-click with your mouse and click on the word delete, that will delete it. If you have your keyboard handy, you can have it selected where it's blue and use the delete on your keyboard. Oop, undo, I think I deleted the whole thing because I did not have stitches. Delete, and now you'll notice it says run. Run means stitches, so first what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees clockwise. So up on the upper row, if you hover over your icon, it tells you what it is. So it's rotate right 90 degrees. I'm going to click it once, and now my design's horizontal. Okay? The next thing I'm going to do before I check something is I'm just going to right-click on this and bring it up so that my first point is close to one of the graph lines, so I can know I'm on the same horizontal line. Because as you know, or you may not know, with an edge-to-edge design, the first point and the last point have to be on the same horizontal line.
So that when you join them nose to tail, they keep running sequentially, right?
Correct. And you don't want them to be skiing uphill or downhill. So you want them all on the same line. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it here. It doesn't have to be exact. I'll talk about the navigator in a moment. Okay, so here's my design. Now, Susan, you had mentioned that when you stitched this out, it was going forward, backwards, backwards at every repeat of the design. And so I just want to show you guys, if you're not used to editing designs, how you can see that on your screen. So in my right side, sorry, I'm directionally challenged, I will always say the wrong one. There's this navigator window here. You can turn it on and off by going up to the view, and navigator turns it off and then turns it back on. What this allows you to do is zoom in close. So I'm just going to zoom in, and then I'm just going to move this red box with the left click and a drag to the edge. And we're just going to watch it stitch out. And so I'm going to take the speed way low, so this is speed here, and I'm going to hit play or simulate sewing, and if you watch, it's going forward, backwards, forwards. And I'm just going to go ahead and stop it here and select it and then go to the other end. So Susan, this is what was the culprit that you were seeing when it was stitching back and forth because there's extra stitches.
Yes, that's exactly what it was doing. So every time it joined one design to the next, it did this little dance, backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards.
So what we need to do in order to make it work for long arm sewing machine and not an embroidery machine is to delete those extra stitches. So I'm going to left click in the screen and zoom in again, and again I can use my navigator little red window to show more, so it's a higher zoom. Before I can edit it, I need to select the design, and you can either select it with polyester or on the run, and then go over and convert it to artwork. And in order to do that, in the second column on the left-hand side, fourth one from the bottom, it's a blue click on that, and it changes it from stitches to artwork. And what you're going to be able to see now is where this was black, where we were stitching, it's no longer stitches, so there's nothing that can be previewed stitching.
So that's why it's important to preview that stitching before you make it artwork, because that's how you know what it's stitching exactly.
Correct.
Got it.
And then we're going to go to Reshape tool and see all these blue dots. Those are my extra stitches. So I need to kind of get rid of them. So I'm just going to move my nodes. And to move a node, it's just a left click and a drag. A left click and a drag.
And you're just continuing moving blue ones until the line is cleaned up, basically.
Yeah. So see here how this one, I'm going to move this endpoint here. Well, that's not the end. But now I have my end here.
Got it?
So I got a mess, right?
Yes, spaghetti.
So then what I'm going to do is, I don't need all these extra stitches here.
Correct.
So I'm going to select I can move this blue line over to the red one, or close to it, because it's snapping to that horizontal grid.
Right.
And then I'm going to right click, and if you look at the second one from the bottom, it says split line. And when I click on the split line, what it's going to do is create two designs. One, which is the initial design all the way to the beginning, and the other one are these little stitches. So if you now look in the sequence view, which is on the right hand side, you'll see there's two artworks now, the design and these extra bits.
And there's a little tiny diagram that correlates exactly to your piece of artwork.
Yes. So I can select that, and I'm just going to click on it and right click and delete. So now those are gone.
Got it.
So now I'm just going to go back to my navigator, left click and drag to the other end. Okay. I'm going to go to my Reshape tool, and I have my little blue dots again. Do you see it? So again, I'm just going to play and move my dots until I can find, okay, there's the end, so I'm going to undo one. So this green is my first point, so I'm going to put this here, and I'm just going to move it onto that, it should snap onto that horizontal line. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then I'm going to right click, and I'm going to split my line again. So now if you look in the left, I have those two little ones still on there, and you'll notice this time it's already selected, so I could just right click and delete. And now, if you had a keyboard with you, you could click on the space bar and it'll show the entire design. So now if we simulate the stitching, and I'm going to speed it up because we know there's no back and forths, and hit play. Oops. Notice it's not playing, right?
It's still artwork, right?
Because it's still artwork. So I need to select the design. And then I'm going to go over to that left-hand side again, and this time it's in the second column, the first icon that says line type running stitch. So when I click on that, now it says run again.
Got it.
My stitch simulator is back active. And actually I might just, since you guys are new to this, I might just show you up close again that there's no back stitching. Because you know you might miss a note.
Right.
So I'm going to go slow again and hit play. Yes, and you can see, and now I'm just going to hit the space bar and speed it up. Slow it down so you can see the end. And it stops.
Lovely.
Okay, now that we're at this point of the process, I need to open up my Q-matic because, as you know, in order for you to send a design to the Q-matic, it has to be open. I must have closed it earlier. And I am on my Qmatic computer. So let's just.
So it's a PC, which anyone who has the Qmatic will have the same thing.
And you don't have to create your safe area, so I'm just going to close this. I'm going to go back to Art and Stitch. I could choose Art and Stitch here, but I already have it open, so I'm just going to go back to my Windows application. So I have the design. I have stitches. Now, if you look on the upper row, 1, 2, 3, 5 from the left-hand side, it says Send to Qmatic.
That seems self-explanatory.
I'm going to click on that, and it's going to prompt me to save the design. I could give it a name if it's a design I'm going to use frequently that makes sense to me. Usually, you can see I was editing something. You're going to go in your browser, because you want to be in Documents, so it's easier to find the next time. My Designs, Art and Stitch My Designs. And I'm just going to call it Temp because that's what I do.
Looks like you've done this a few times before.
Yeah. And for those of you who are playing with the Qmatic a little bit and stuff and know that the file has to be a BQM file to go into Qmatic, not Art and Stitch, when I'm going directly to the Qmatic and it prompts me to save it, it only gives me the option to save it as an Art and Stitch file, but it is smart enough to create both the ANS and the BQM file. So you don't have to worry about saving again. You just do the one save once, click on the word save, and yes, because mine already exists, it's our standard confirmation, yes, I'm going to overwrite it, and it's going to plop it right in the center of the Qmatic screen.
I love that.
And now you can just position it and do your edge-to-edge plus.
Aw, success! I love that.
Okay? The only thing you got to remember is it's only in this memory here. Do we have enough time just to show real quick if you wanted to put it in your library?
Let's do.
So, one way I could do it is I could do, since I called it temp, and I have it in here and I decided I really liked it, I'm going to do File, Save Design File, and I'm going to call it Fall Leaves. Or I could call it, what was the number, Susan?
108837. But does the
so that you know which design it was. It's automatically going to save it as a BQM.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go up to my design library, and I'm going to say Import Design. It's going to bring up this screen, and it automatically defaults to the Designs program.
Okay.
But you'll notice it's not here. I just need to click on that Designs once more. And see now how the Fall Leaves is in the second column?
I do see that.
Now, if I click on it once, it's going to give me a preview what it looks like in the third column, top one. But notice I need it in the bottom one, so I need to double click to make sure it's here.
In order to import it. So let me ask you, Betty, would you import it in a row like that, or would you have done this process when you just have the singular?
This is only a singular. Remember, it just displays it because it's, I'm not sure why it's just doing it as.
Because I thought that was the amount of repeats you put on your screen.
I had his plus, plus, plus.
Which is not the end of the world, but now it's going to be this size when you save it.
Yeah, so yes, I would have saved it as a single repeat.
Got it. Okay.
I forgot I did the plus, plus, plus.
No worries.
So, no, good catch. And then I know this is a pantograph, and there's a lot of tags already built in. So I can click on pantograph.
And maybe OESD, because that's where we got it.
And maybe OESD. And I have one called Betty, but because I didn't create this one, OESD would work fine. But I had to create that tag, and we can do that at a later date. And then you click on the word import. It's going to do a little spin. Hit the word close here, just a word of warning. A lot of times we close the windows with the X. If you do that in this window, you'll close out Qmatic. Now I know. So close here, and now if I go to my design pool or the plus sign and click on patch graph and OEFD and say match all tags, my leave
There it is at the bottom. Perfect.
So now it's there, and you can just double click, and it's good to go.
Awesome.
So you ready to give it a go?
I think I am ready. Let me just get back in front of my computer.
And I will go back to where I can see you.
Okay, so we're just swapping screen shares here so that we can each see what each other is doing. Okay, so I have once again the original design, although I've already rotated mine 90 degrees, but that's just a simple.
And this is the one we already edited, so let's go ahead and open a new one.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. I don't want to save the changes, so we're going to start from scratch. Okay, File and Open. And here's the same one I had opened before, right? There we go. We're back at our original. Okay, perfect. All right, Betty, why don't you walk me through, and because I don't know that I can talk and do it all at the same time. But one of the things that I know you didn't mention as you were working through it is this grid that I'm hovering over right now, and also the snap to grid, which are both very helpful to have on during this process.
Yes, sorry, thank you.
So the snap to grid is what enabled those nodes to click right to a point, to an intersection point, which is really helpful to get them precise.
Correct. So the first thing you want to do is remove those jump stitches. Do you remember how to do that?
I think so. I go over into my design. Did I already remove them? Because I don't have run. Oh, I have to hit the plus. That's correct. There we go. So stitches, right click and delete. Right click is already selected and delete. All right, jump stitches are gone. So now I can rotate 90 degrees, yes?
Yes, but you're not selected. So the design has to be selected, so make sure the box is around it.
The box around it. So all I did was left click on it to select it for those watching. Of course, you're seeing my big mouse red blurb whenever I click, so that should be helpful. Okay, box is selected.
So now go back to your, and then right or left click, just move it so one of the nodes is at one of those intersections, the first and last node, just so you know. So you'll see the hand. Do you see the hand? Now left click and just drag it up to close. It doesn't have to be exact because we're going to place it.
Right, and that's where our snap to grid is going to come in handy for precision work, right?
Correct.
Okay, got it. So now we just want to zoom in on one end or the other?
Yep, if you want to do your little test though.
So I'm zooming on the navigator, and I'm going to go to the right this time to start with. So I'm seeing my ending stitches here. I've got my simulator on down here in the black bar, right?
Yeah, but you might as well zoom it with that little rectangular bar that's at the far left.
This one?
No, the other one.
This one?
Yeah, if you just move it forward, you can get to right before the end.
Like so. And then stitch. There it comes. And there's our little backtrack. Okay, so we've confirmed. It does indeed do that. We really don't want that, do we?
Right.
Okay. So did you move where that ending point was first?
No. Remember, you have to turn it to artwork.
Okay, so little blue box over here. When I hover, I get back to artwork.
So is your design selected?
No, it's not.
So make sure it's selected. So usually what you'll be able to see, Susan, is if you go up to the first column on the left, the first icon, the arrow, that needs to be selected. And when you click on it,
When I click on the design?
now click on the design, get closer to the line.
Got
See
it.
how that box, so even if you were zoomed in, you would still see that right edge.
Okay, got it. All right, so do I need to be zoomed in any further at this point?
Right now you need to go to artwork.
Okay, so the blue box, make artwork, we've done that, and now I'm seeing that over on my right-hand side. I'm seeing that it is now artwork, not a stitch simulation, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So now you want to zoom in. So you can just, right now, But see, it's not getting you maybe as high as you want to be, so left click inside that window.
Inside the navigator window?
No, inside the main menu, and then use your center ball on your mouse to zoom in further, and then use that red box to get to where you want to be. It might be helpful to get a little bit higher. There you go.
Is that good?
That's good. And then you're going to go to your reshape tool because you want to find those nodes, the one below it, and click on the line.
And click on the line. There they are. Okay. So now I'm going to select each one, right, and drag it away. There's 1, 2, 3. Now I don't need to drag the ones that aren't connected like this one, right?
Correct.
Okay, what about the little red one again? I'm never sure when I need to drag that one or place it on the line.
It's the end of the design or the beginning of the design. Sometimes it's in there.
It's in there, correct.
Okay, so what I would do is now, not that node, but the one to the left of it.
This one?
Now, left click and drag that one on top to there, yes.
But it's kind of made a funny shape.
So what you can do now is if you click on that node again.
The one where I just was, this one?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
No, leave it there. Keep it dragged out. Right click, sorry.
Right click on it. Okay.
And see how on the left one there's a little handlebar?
Just this one here that's close to it?
Or on the other, the next node. Either one. Changes the shape of that line, so you could just give it a little movement. We can talk more about getting it perfect. There you go.
That looks pretty nice to me.
Yeah.
Do it a little bit more.
And if you want, you could just.
So now I'm going back to my corner here and doing the split line, right?
Right.
So I've done a right click on that to bring up this little menu, which is kind of true throughout the program. Right click will bring up your sub menus. Split line over to my 2 pieces here, and I'm going to get rid of the scribbled artwork. Right click on it again and delete. Gone. Neat as a pin.
Now you have to move.
Now I'm moving my little navigator tool way to the beginning edge. So if you don't remember, here's your clue. The little red box is where I am in the design as a whole. So sliding that red box around helps me relocate. So I've gone right back to those beginning stitches.
And you can see it's selected, Susan, because you've got that black line coming up and down from the far left of it. Does that make sense?
So what do you mean by, I know that the box is selected because of this?
You know the design is selected because you can see that line that would be the box around it.
Got it. That's
So
helpful.
you were asking how do you know?
That is helpful to know when you're super magnified like this. Okay, what's next? Reshape tool?
Yep.
Perfect. There's all my little blue dots. Okay, let us systematically drag them. So left click and drag, left click and drag. Let's see, this one now is going to become my ending. Now I've got a funny shape there. That's not the one I want, right?
Yeah, so move that one out of the way.
So he's gone, and it's this one that I want. Oh, look, and it adjusted that whole line for me a little bit because there were no nodes. Is that right? It drags back to the last node?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so right-click now on my keeper, split the line, and get rid of the squiggly one, which is already highlighted, that first one. Right-click again, delete that, gone. Beautiful. Okay, what's next?
Now you have to apply stitches so you can send it to the Q-matic.
Right. And that was somewhere in here? Nope.
The second column.
Second column.
First one from the top.
Line, sew type, running stitches. Oh, beautiful. And now we have it again. We're back to our run, our simulator.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, shall we double check this before we go anywhere?
Sure, and you can maybe slide your navigator down a little bit so you can see it.
Whoops, that was not what I wanted to do. I want to move the whole box. Let's get our little red box back at the beginning there.
Or click it in and zoom lower. Because you want to be able to see the design line in your screen. Now zoom lower. So on the navigator, the blue thing that's all the way to the right, bring it up. See how that red box is growing? Keep moving towards the left. All the way up. Take it all the way up. That's good.
We can see the whole
So you can see the whole design.
Got it. Okay, I'm catching on. So I'm going to start it stitching slowly and then I'll speed it up. There it goes. It's actually a really nice design and it stitches out well. There's not too many corners in it. I love it. I made it really slow. Almost there. Make sure we can see the end. Perfect. There it is. Okay, what's next?
So we have stitches applied. Now we need to send it to the Q-matic.
So that's my little Q-matic tool.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Now I don't have files made in documents. Should I make one or just put it in this art stitch?
It's a default one that's there for you.
Oh, okay.
So right now you would just do it in the art and stitch designs because that's kind of where art and stitch defaults to.
Got it. And then I'm just going to paste in the same number that the file was originally named.
Correct.
So there it is. And here we are in Q-matic. Awesome! With my one little design. Beautiful. So from here then, since I just have the singular one, I can show how we can go and save it. So it's just in File.
Well, actually, because you saved it, Susan, why take this extra step?
You're right, because I have saved it in my designs and gave it a name. So that's really all I have to do.
No, so what you need to do is go to Import Designs.
Yes, Design Library.
Design Library, sorry.
Import Designs.
Now you're going to go to your documents.
I put it in Documents directly and not in the Art Stitch My Designs folder is what I did.
Okay. So that's
Inadvertently, but that is what I did. Okay, so there's my little design, and I've got it highlighted blue, and we're seeing it in the preview.
right.
But I have to do that twice to import it,
You have to double click here.
so that now we see it in the import. And now we're going to add some tags. So I do have an edge-to-edge tag because I like to use them a lot, and I like to have them easy to find. And OESD because I know that's where it came from. And I don't personally use the pantograph tag, so I'm not going to bother putting it on that one. And that's it.
Click on Import. Click on Close.
And now if I look in my design library,
No, in the plus sign. And then
I'll go by tags. I had it in OESD and I had it in E2E and match all tags. And there it is.
And there it is.
Beautiful. I'm so pleased. So I hope my bundling efforts were fairly easy to follow. But I think that went pretty well, Betty. And I hope for those of you watching it was helpful. You know, I know it's a bit disjointed because we're doing this in the moment, but that's kind of how I do my shows is real time. But hopefully that real time helps you to just kind of see where you might be getting confused and then able to find a way out of that maze a little bit. And I know for me coming into this, Betty, it seems so mysterious and obscure, but when you break it down for me step by step, I can follow that. I can do that. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's once you get it, it's very straightforward. But a lot of people aren't.
It's logical.
So yeah, it's my pleasure to help you do this and have me on your show so we can educate other people.
Good. Well, here's the good news. Betty actually has entire courses built that walk through this and many other things about the Bernina, particularly about the Q-matic. So I'm going to let you talk for a minute, Betty, about some of the courses that you offer. So if you're looking for more information, Betty is an excellent, excellent resource.
Thank thank you. So I'm just going to go to my website real quick. It's bettysofun.com. If you go to my website, so the comprehensive ones, there's Q-matic Magic. This is one where you can learn how to navigate and use your computer. I have Beyond the Magic, which goes more into custom quilting using the Q-matic only. If you want to learn how to digitize with Art and Stitch, it's Creating Magic. And the one I've got to get finished is my Mastering the Magic, where you put the two together so you can custom quilt any shape and size that you would like to do. I also have I know people like ruler work. I have very bad vision and a little bit of carpal tunnel from working on a keyboard all my life. So I've come up with what I like to call unlimited unruler work classes. And so you can get the look of ruler work with straight lines or waves. Soon the circles and triangles will be there. So there's other classes to use your Q-matic to its fullest. So Susan, remember I was saying I like to use Q-matic and custom quilting? These 4 pictures on my website are all done using the Q-matic and Art and Stitch.
Oh, that's great to know. How fun.
So you can make things look geometric. This is if you want to learn how to do edge to edges with a continuous line so you don't have a lot of start and stops if you're masking around something. These were just 2 panels that I purchased and made them come to life. But that's kind of what I like to do.
And I've been fortunate enough to see some of these pieces in real life. Betty and I have worked together at a number of quilt shows in the BERNINA booth. But you started to say, Betty, and I don't want to forget and sneak away without saying it at all, that you've offered a coupon to anyone purchasing your classes, and that coupon is SBS10. So Stitched by Susan would be the acronym, right? SBS10 for 10% off any of Betty's classes. So you can just go ahead and purchase them directly from her website. Just use that coupon code when you check out. Okay. Anything else? Like I don't know what more to say because I feel like today has been such a good demonstration, honestly, of your skill and expertise. And like I said, I've been fortunate enough to see some of the pieces and your work, firsthand. You were talking about unruler work. Is that what you called it? Did I use the right term?
Yes.
Some of those pieces, you kind of skimmed over it, but did you guys catch the detail there? She's not actually using rulers to do this quilting, so there's not the manipulating of ruler and long arm. It's using the Q-matic to create digitized designs that look like custom created ruler work. So it's really a kind of frontier of how to use this digitizing system to up-level your quilting. So if you love digital work, you'll love learning from Betty. Promise. Okay, that's all we have for today, I think, Betty, unless you've got a few last words you want to say.
No, I think that went well. You caught on very quickly, so that was nice. The one thing I'm going to encourage people for, if you are going to be doing some of the custom or editing with Art and Stitch, it's really handy to have the Q-matic keyboard that came with your machine and a mouse. But the other nice thing is, if you have Art and Stitch, you can have it downloaded on a second computer, do all the work at your normal computer, save it on a USB stick, and then just open it up in the Q-matic. So that you have your keyboard in your mouse.
Yeah. Good, super point. Well, thanks, Betty, and I think we'll try and do this again, as these topics come up, and we'll wait to hear some feedback from our viewers as well. If this has been helpful to watch us working through something in real time. And again, we don't edit out the oopses and when I had to backtrack or saved somewhere unexpectedly, so that you can see, and hopefully that helps you in your process as well. So we'll look forward to doing some more of these episodes in future. Thanks so much for joining me, Betty.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.